Let's go Broncos! The Denver Broncos are at a critical crossroads. Forget the miraculous comeback against the Giants for a moment. Take away the scoreboard. What's really going on inside this team is something fans need to hear. Because while the rest of the league sees a 5-2 record and a team on the rise, those of us who are watching closely know the truth. Cracks are forming, and if they aren't sealed quickly, this promising season could unravel before our eyes. So, stay here. I'm going to expose exactly what's holding this team back. You're going to hear things today that no one else is talking about. But before we go any further, if you're a true Broncos fan, now's the time to prove it. Hit the like button if you're loyal and leave a comment saying, "Go, Broncos! We're going to the Super Bowl." This video is for the diehards, those who know that football is more than just a final score. Let's go! Sunday's miracle win against the New York Giants might have left fans in awe during the final minutes, but if we peel back the curtain and really study this team under the microscope, there are serious issues plaguing this Denver Broncos roster. Issues that, if not fixed, could derail any dreams of postseason glory. And no, I'm not discrediting the comeback, but we need to put the fourth quarter magic aside for a moment and look at the larger pattern. Because for 3 quarters, and even going back to the game against the Jets, the Broncos have been struggling with 2 major flaws: undisciplined penalties and a glaring lack of offensive balance. Let's start with the penalties. Against the Giants, 12 penalties for 127 yards. Against the Jets, 6 for 37. Against the Eagles, 12 for 121. And back in Week 4 against the Bengals, 7 for 72. In the last 4 games alone, the Broncos have racked up 37 accepted penalties, and that doesn't even count the few that were declined. That puts the real number closer to 40 or 41. And folks, that's absolutely outrageous. These aren't just ticky-tack calls either. These are rhythm killers, drive breakers, momentum-busting penalties that change the entire trajectory of the game. Sure, not every penalty is legitimate. One that stands out was the flag on Riley Moss, textbook coverage, and yet the flag still came out. But even with a few questionable calls, the pattern is undeniable. The Broncos are playing hyper-aggressive defense and operating under an intricate, motion-heavy offensive scheme drawn up by Sean Payton. That combination is creating a situation where penalties are more likely, and they are stacking up every single week. And let's be honest here, the Broncos aren't going to get away with this kind of undisciplined play when the competition heats up. You might edge out the Jets or squeak by the Bengals, but in the next stretch of the season, you're facing the Cowboys, the Texans, and a red-hot Chiefs team. The margin for error is razor thin. If you're giving up 100-plus penalty yards every week, you're handing those teams free possessions, free field position, and possibly free points. This isn't just a one-game issue, it's an identity crisis. Broncos Wire even said it best. The team has improved in talent and execution over recent years, but the discipline just isn't there. Too many doofus lining up in the neutral zone moments, illegal formations, questionable route executions, and worst of all, big-time plays getting called back. Those are momentum breakers. Championship teams don't beat themselves, and right now, the Broncos are their own worst enemy. Now let's shift gears and talk about the second major issue, the lack of offensive balance. This isn't just a stat sheet anomaly, this is a fundamental flaw in how the Broncos start and run their offensive game plan. Take the Giants game again, 4 straight passes to open the game, 4 incompletions, 0 balance. And while some blame lands on Bo Nix, it's not all on him. Drops from Troy Franklin, Nate Atkins, and even Cortland Sutton in the early going set the offense back. But even worse than that, the entire offensive rhythm was thrown off from the get-go. Bo Nix, in 2025, is what you call a momentum quarterback. When he's hot, he's blazing. When he's cold, he freezes the entire offense. We've seen this roller coaster all season. He dominates in certain moments, like the fourth quarter against the Eagles or Giants, but for long stretches, he disappears. Against Indianapolis, solid. Against Cincy, strong. But when he's off, it's like nothing clicks until late in the game. Part of that could be on his deep ball struggles. His accuracy downfield just isn't there yet. Overthrows, mistimed launches, and uncalibrated footwork are recurring issues. Dan Orlovsky even pointed out that Bo's footwork might be the root of his deep ball issues. When you can't hit those throws, defenses start pressing up, and that limits what you can call, cue the never-ending screen passes. And let me tell you, Broncos country, the screen game has gotten out of control. A fan favorite on the show said it best, Sean Payton is always good for like 30 screens a game. And it's true. This isn't strategy, it's desperation. And defenses know it. They've started crowding the line of scrimmage, forcing the Broncos to beat them vertically, and right now, we can't. But what really blew fans' minds was the red zone sequence on 1st and goal from the Giants' 5. J.K. Dobbins gets you to the 2 on 1st down, and then, pass, 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 including a failed trick play to Garrett Bowles and a fourth down screen to Cortland Sutton that got blown up. Why not just run it in from the 2-yard line? That's on Sean Payton. That's poor decision making. That's a lack of trust in the run game and in your quarterback's ability to make decisive throws in tight windows. Because here's the truth, Broncos country, the Denver Broncos are dangerously close to wasting a promising season if they can't figure out this offensive identity crisis and clean up the mental errors. Let's continue where we left off. When you look at the tape, and not just the highlight reel fourth quarters, you see an offense that's sputtering early, unsure of how it wants to attack. Sean Payton has long been known as one of the more innovative minds in football, but right now his playbook looks like it's stuck in a loop. Too many screens, too many quick outs, not enough confidence in stretching the field or establishing the run game early. Let's go back to that goal line sequence again because it's symbolic of everything wrong. First down, a solid run by J.K. Dobbins down to the 2-yard line. That should be a moment where you assert your will. You go downhill. You trust your offensive line. You play smash-mouth football. Instead, Payton dials up a series of passing plays, including a trick play that left fans scratching their heads and a screen to Sutton that got sniffed out immediately. That's not creativity, that's overthinking. That's what happens when a coach loses sight of his team's strengths. And this isn't a one-off. These decisions are part of a larger trend. Fourth quarters have masked these issues for now, but what happens when the Broncos don't get a chance to mount a comeback? What happens when Kansas City jumps out to a 2-touchdown lead early and suddenly Bo Nix is forced to throw 45 times under pressure? That brings us to Bo. Let's have the honest conversation. Bo Nix is undeniably talented. He has the athleticism. He has the arm strength. He's shown flashes of leadership and poise under pressure. But what he doesn't have yet is consistency. The stats don't lie. His production often comes in bursts, usually late in games. His deep ball accuracy is still a major issue. It's either overthrown or underthrown. He's missing the touch and timing that great quarterbacks develop over time. But it's not just on him. There's a rhythm missing in this offense that goes beyond Bo's mechanics. Part of that falls squarely on Sean Payton. When your quarterback is struggling to connect on the deep ball, what do? You don't just call 12 screen passes and hope one breaks loose. You build his confidence. You establish the run. You create easy intermediate throws to keep drives alive and build tempo. Instead, what we're seeing is an offense that either goes all in on short passes or overcorrects with aggressive deep shots that Bo isn't hitting consistently. There's no middle ground, no identity, no sense of, this is what we do well, and we're going to lean into it. That's a problem. What's worse is that this kind of imbalance affects the rest of the team. The defense ends up playing more snaps. Field position suffers, and when you're giving up over 100 yards and penalties each week, you're putting your defense in terrible situations over and over again. Speaking of that, this penalty issue still looms large. It's not just that there are a lot of penalties, it's that they come at the worst possible times. Neutral zone infractions on third down, illegal formations that erase chunk plays, holding calls that stall promising drives. That's not just bad luck, that's a lack of discipline. And it's a coaching issue just as much as it is a player problem. We've heard all season long about how the Broncos are a different team under Sean Payton, and yes, in many ways, that's true. There's more talent, there's more fight, the comeback wins are inspiring. But the sloppiness? That's the ghost of seasons past, and it's haunting this team at the worst possible time. Let me remind you of the schedule ahead: Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, Las Vegas, Washington. That's a gauntlet. The Cowboys and Chiefs are playoff caliber teams, and Washington is no pushover once Jaden Daniels is back. If the Broncos continue to play the way they did for 3 quarters against the Giants,